Welcome back, minors. My name is Amber Johnston, and I'm a counselor here at Student Wellbeing.
And I'm Tracy Kriegel, and I'm a counselor here at Student Wellbeing. It's time for your morning cup of joe.
So this week, I wanted to talk about parental expectations and self-expectations and how they can differ. And really, I wanted to go over how parent expectations of us can influence our mental health, and I wanted to do so through the Netflix original series, Wednesday.
So Wednesdays is a re-imaging of the classic Addams Family characters, but centralizing around their daughter Wednesday. For those of you who are not familiar with Addams Family, they're a wonderful Gothic family that doesn't fit into the typical, cultural norms. So over the decades, there's been many re-imaging of the characters in the form of cartoons, movies, and even computer games. So basically, the Addams are they're as wholesome as the Brady Bunch in their interactions with each other, but a Halloween-esque Gothic darkness about them.
Right. Well, they absolutely are. Think about it, the Addams Family always just seems like it's monstrous, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when you look at their interactions with each other, the parents are always like, how was your day at school? And it's very Brady Bunch kind of situation going on, right?
I love the Addams Family. I think they're so fun.
They are, absolutely. So who was your favorite? What was your favorite casting so far?
Oh my gosh. What is the wife? I think she's always been my fun one.
Morticia.
Uh-huh.
Did you like Angelica Houston's version?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. They what I love about Wednesday is that Christina Ricci, who played Wednesday in the Addams Family movies in the early 90s and 2000s. She plays a teacher at Wednesday school.
Oh, fun.
I just find that hilarious. So Wednesday is the protagonist in the series, and she's the older child of Morticia and Gomez.
Right.
And she has one younger brother who isn't quite as dark as she is. And she's most known for her deadpan statements about the gruesome and macabre, to which other students' characters often find amusing and sometimes off-putting, except for her parents, who seem to be highly encouraging. Again, Brady Bunch of the Halloween world.
Oh, that's great.
In the first episode of Wednesday, Pugsley is getting made fun of by some boys in the school, and Wednesday gets angry, and to punish the boys, she puts piranhas in the pool during swim practice and almost kills the boys, which leads to her expulsion from the public school. And this shows how she's completely serious in her deadpan statements about murdering people. She really means she's going to murder them. But surprisingly, the worst thing that happens is she's expelled. And I always think of Hermione, and she's like, we'll die, or worse yet, be expelled. And I'm like, Wednesday just gets expelled for this. She puts piranhas in the pool, and she just gets expelled. I'm like, wow.
Oh my gosh.
That's to show you being expelled for them was, anyway.
So Amber, what does all this have to do with parental expectations? Come on. I'm having a hard time connecting the dots here. So.
Well, Wednesday is sent to the school with a chaperone.
Thing.
Yes, of course. He's got to be in there somewhere, right? And Thing is, for those of you who are unaware, Thing is a disembodied hand that surprisingly has a very level head for somebody without a head, as far as disembodied hands go.
Have you met a lot of disembodied hands?
No.
How do they typically act?
I can't say that I've met a lot of them, but I'd assume from the lack of prefrontal cortex, it would dampen their reasoning skills just a little bit.
Touche.
Wednesday's parents don't tell Wednesday that they're sending Thing with her. He's sent as a spy. And of course, Wednesday finds Thing because, how are you going to put a disembodied hand in somebody's suitcase and then not find it? Yes! Seriously. And he promises, via hand signals, to be her ally and not report back to her parents. And the fact that she's being spied on makes her really upset, understandably, as it's pretty significant invasion of privacy.
Right.
However, given the circumstances, I'm going to assume that they knew that thing was going to be caught and that they would allow her to kind of form a bond of like, now we're keeping secrets from your parents together kind of thing. Because honestly, she has pretty supportive parents, and she just wanted to be nothing like them. Like, she thinks they're too optimistic. Because I know they're all dark and gothic, but really, Morticia and Gomez are very optimistic and supportive.
Yeah.
Like, hyper. And they're super mushy and romantic.
Really exactly like them.
And you guys hear me all the time talking about unhealthy relationships in a lot of these TV shows and movies that we talk about. Wholeheartedly, Morticia and Gomez are like one of the healthiest, most functional relationships in all of TV-dom. Like, hands down. Like, seriously.
I love these guys.
So, but they don't talk down to her. They don't belittle her. They support her wholeheartedly. They accept her for just who she is. You know, she's all serious. They're all optimistic, you know, and even when she's different than they are, like, they support her. And they steer her into her independence rather than trying to control her. And they don't seem to have strong expectations other than she's just herself and not put piranhas in the school and kill the other students. So this is a sharp contrast to some of the other students' parents. So first we have Enid, who is Wednesday's roommate. So Tracy, tell us about Enid.
So Enid is a werewolf who can only grow claws. Oh boy. You know, totally different, opposite person. She cannot fully change. Her parents are very upset that she cannot fully change. So, you know, big difference there in comparison. So her mother's very pushy. She puts on a great deal of pressure. And Ingrid is turned fully into a werewolf as soon as she can. She constantly asks if Ingrid has transformed and repeatedly voices her disappointment with the fact that she has not. So here's mom, who's overbearing. She constantly asks if she's transformed and repeatedly voices her disappointment with the fact that she has not. And as a result, Ingrid has to set firm boundaries with her mother, telling her that she will wolf out in my own timeline instead of yours. In a fantastic scene, we'll only speculate what inspired by Ingrid's friendship with Wednesday. Ultimately, Ingrid's mother loves her and wants Ingrid to be successful. She just does not know how to motivate Ingrid in a way that doesn't place that kind of judgment and pressure on Ingrid. It ends up making Ingrid feel completely abnormal and wrong for not wolfing out, quote, wolfing out, you know, even though it isn't something she has any control over. Instead, all of this pressure just makes Ingrid feel anxious and affects her self-esteem.
Well, think about it if it's like in terms of like grades. What if it wasn't wolfing out? What if it's grades? What if you had a parent, and I'm sure you guys have all known parents like this, that push for you to get an A, get an A, get an A, get an A, get an A. But you try and you're trying and you're trying and you're trying and you're trying and you're really struggling, but you just can't. And how that affects your self-esteem. Well, that's what it's doing to Enid, is her self-esteem is suffering because she's just, she can't do what they expect her to do, and they are down, her mom's there tearing her down constantly about the fact that she can't do this.
Right, she's just saying, you got to do it now.
Yeah, do it and do it now. Yeah. Like, you've got to do this and do this right now. And Enid's like, I can't. And you're putting all this pressure on me is not helping. And yeah. So this doesn't mean that having parental expectations is a bad thing. Morticia and Gomez expect Wednesday to follow the rules of the school. Like I said before, they expect her to not kill the other students. They expect her to stay out of trouble. Parents have to have expectations. Right. If somebody has zero expectations of you, what do you think what message is that going to send to the student, to the kiddo?
It means they don't care about you at all.
Absolutely. We have expectations in all of our relationships. We expect our friends to treat us with kindness. We expect our significant other to be faithful. Having zero expectation communicates to the other person that they don't care at all. So not talking about the no expectation kind of cliches in movies, but literally like no expectations. Expectations show that you care about the outcome of that situation.
Right. I think like Wednesday's parents expect her to follow the rules and succeed in school.
Right.
That
Don't
was the
most parents?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Now let's flip that around. What if you are the child and you feel you aren't meeting your parents' expectations? So Wednesday doesn't really care about her parents' expectations because it's never been tied to her self-worth and or her sense of being loved. So, but for Ingrid, her mother's constantly discussions of her not fully transforming into a werewolf were affecting her self-esteem. I think that's, it's pretty important. So when we find ourselves disappointing our parents, we can often feel very alone. And I think it can affect our sense of self. It can even affect our physical health.
Right. We're kind of built from the time that we're born to want to please our parents because it's an innate survival instinct. We want to make our parents happy, therefore they take care of us, like in our minds. But our parents should take care of us because they're our parents, and they should. It shouldn't be hinged. And that was the thing about Wednesday is that she never had her parents' love was never hinged on whether she made them happy. Whereas Enid felt that her parents were, that their love hinged on whether she pleased them or not.
Right. I think we want love and affection because that ensures that we'll be protected and cared for.
Right.
And so naturally we seek it. Wednesday knows that she has her parents' love and affection, so she no longer feels a need to please them because she's safe. And they'll love her regardless. I think that's so important. In other instances, someone feels that they can't ever please their parents. They may stop trying and appear to not care because they believe that affection is never going to be accessible to them.
Right. And we go a little bit more into this. If you guys have ever tuned into our Batman and attachment theory episode, we talk a lot more about those attachment styles and the roots of those attachment styles. And that's kind of what we're using right here is that family systems theory.
Right. Yeah. And I think for the rest of us, people actively seek to please our parents, from a young age. I think that, when you're growing and developing, we want to please our parents. And I think that's natural to do that. And as early as 4 months old, we smile in order to make our caregiver want to smile back at us. It's just, we want to see that smile. We use less muscles in our face to smile. We're giving our faces a break. And as the older we get, we do silly things to make our caregivers smile. And all in the name of pleasing people. I think that's important. However, some people, though, pressure can be intense when the child's needs or abilities are not taken into account. That can be hard. And sometimes the expectations are not realistic and don't take into account that we want for our own lives, like Ingrid's parents. So what can we do, Amber?
Okay. Well, if you feel like somebody's holding you to a standard that's like you're not able to meet for whatever reason, maybe it's impacting your mental health, maybe you just can't do it, maybe it's, for whatever reason, you can set boundaries. And we kind of have to be careful because we're dependent on our parents sometimes. But we can usually work to set boundaries that work within those limitations to at least some degree. And we can also work to let go of the expectations that our parents, that we hold for our parents, that we may not hold for ourselves. So as adults, our parents' expectations don't always match our own. So if my parents expect me to get an A and this class is super, super hard for me, and I know that even if I study all day and all night, I'm never going to get that A. But I know that if I work really hard, I can get a B in this class. I can set the expectation for myself to get a B or a C if that's where I'm at. It just depends on where I'm at. My expectations for myself don't have to be the same.
Right. I think if you're struggling with those boundaries, and we have a healthy relationships group here in the student wellbeing department, And Amber does a fantastic job of going over boundaries and setting and talking about communication. And we also have a positive mindfulness program, and that'll help you manage stress. So we have a lot of fantastic groups here in Student Wellbeing. And if you're struggling with expectations or just in general, please reach out to us and schedule an appointment. We're here to help with all of these things. We want students to be successful. And so I think that's, the key. So reach out. We're here. You can schedule your own appointment online. Just go to our website and schedule an appointment with us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us this week, Miners, and we will see you next week.
Take care.
For more information about mental health and wellness, contact Student Wellbeing at 204 Norwood Hall. And you can also give us a call at 573-341-4211.
The song Happy Days is brought to us by music from www.free-stock-music.com. You can also add and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook using our handle @S&T Wellbeing.